All right, the weather has finally worked in our favor and cleared up a bit so I could do a walk around video on my S2000. It is a 05 AP2. I've had it since 2013. And similar to my Tacoma and my hatchback, it's got quite a bit of mods done to it. Many of them that will kind of just go unseen unless you're really looking for them. So we'll just get right into it and start going over some of my favorite features on it. So when I got it, we did quite a bit of work to it and painted it. These fenders are plus 20 millimeter over stock, but they're full carbon. And we left a small strip of carbon right here that you can see, but painted everything else. I didn't want a giant piece of carbon fiber on the front end, especially considering how huge these fenders are. So those are widened, and the rear quarter panels were rolled and pulled significantly to fit these wheels. So these wheels will hit bumps and will not rub at all. So full cycle suspension, no rubbing, and it's really strong. There's no flex, there's no bacon fenders or whatever you call it when they're all crunched up. And when you pull these quarters out a lot, it starts to dip in and get a big dent. So they were pulled, that dent was repaired, and then fully body worked. And the stock bumper was pulled to match. It's coming out just a smidge on the corner, but if that's all I have to deal with for that extensive of a mod, I'll take it any day. It's got a longer nose, a little bit more rounded. The OEM bumper is actually pretty blunt. You don't really notice until they're side by side. So if I can get some pictures of one that's stock next to this, I'll put them up on the screen. But if not, we'll just keep continuing forward. So all of this area was reworked. It's all fiberglass, so it was all worked to line up perfectly. Spent weeks in the shop on just fiberglass alone, and in my opinion, it came out pretty good. And here we have the rear factory AP2 bumper. We have a T1R dual sparrow exhaust with the downturns that are slightly blue in the edges. So believe it or not, Honda Accord of the same year, the rear door handle fits right in, and it doesn't have the keyhole. So it's got a rear Accord door handle. The OEM antenna was shaved and welded, and the H emblem on the trunk was shaved and welded as well. So that pretty much does it for all of the body work. We painted it in the factory Suzuka blue, but it was slightly changed. So we took out some of the pearl and the purplish tone to it and made it a little bit more blue. All of the black window trim has been replaced with new OEM parts. Even this giant seal, I had to take apart all of the interior pieces to swap it. Door trim, rear quarter panel trim. I even changed the soft top when the car was painted. So we painted the car, changed the soft top with an original Honda soft top, and put new OEM headlights. So it looked really good back then. It's got a little bit of wear on the front end from driving so much, but I don't regret it. I love driving the car. It's fun. A little cramped on space, but inside we have a relatively stock interior. I did a Momo Monte Carlo with titanium hardware that's burnt just a little blue to match the rest of the car. And then I found that horn button on eBay, and it was shipped in from Australia. So I was able to get that, and I think it put the finishing touch on all of the interior. Nothing is modified too crazy. It's still very comfortable, AC, heater, all that good stuff. So we'll pop the hood and see what's going on under there. All right, so under the hood, it is a F22C motor. It's the later S2000 motor. So it revs to 8K, not 9K. To me, that's fine. It's got a carb legal K&N intake due to California's lovely carb laws. A coil radiator that I recently replaced due to the OEM one failing. And I actually changed every single rubber hose related to the cooling system. And when I say every single one, I changed every single one of these all at the same time that I did the radiator. There's 6 that go down here. There's a whole bunch that go back here for the heater. It was such a pain to change all of those, but I figured it was old. Might as well do it in one shot and kind of just rip off the Band-Aid and get it taken care of. So I know that the cooling system is good to go. Also changed the, you know, the standard stuff, the water pump, the thermostat while I did all that. So that was, you know, one of the big major services that I did. And this car does have a 12-inch subwoofer in it, so it didn't have that grill on, but I put it there just so I could at least put something in the trunk and make it usable. And the amp is back here where the spare was, so no spare, but we got AAA if we need it. And I guess last but not least would be the wheels. So these are one of 500 sets that were made in burnt silver in 2009. They're Volk Racing CE28 N Genesis. So N Genesis was basically just a limited edition name for these wheels that has the dual carbon spoke badge and the burnt silver color. There's also Project Kicks lug nuts with ARP extended studs on all 4 corners. The car is lowered on some TNs, some TN coilovers, and we got some Akabono brake pads and stainless braided lines all the way around. So I went with Dunlop Dereza. I had the DZ101s. These are DZ102s, but they're discontinued in this size. So once those tires are gone, I'm gonna have to choose either a different brand or a different size, but I really like them. I think they fit the car well. I'm not all stanced out like crazy. I believe the rear is like -3 degree camber, but it's got a perfect stance. There's no rubbing. I'm not cracking anything or hitting anything. And it drives really good on the streets. So I really love this car. It's kind of the best of both worlds when I have the truck to fall back on in bad weather. And this one really only comes out on the nice sunny days. Underneath, we've got some bushing cups that stiffen up the rear diff mounts to reduce flex. There's a few subframe braces underneath to stiffen up the frame. I did have a crossbar, but when I put the intake in, it got in the way. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna take it out or not. It's kind of pending, so that's why I left the mounts there. But I guess that's to be determined. All right, well, before I put it away, we'll get it started so you can hear it. That starter's getting a little old and hanging, but we'll change it when it goes out. We'll do a little rev on it. One last thing, if you hear that rattling, it's because the car has billet motor mounts that I put in a few years ago. So it did stiffen up the idle vibrations in the cabin for sure, but It has way better throttle response, so I could live with it. I could fix it for sure. I just need to take the bumper off. I just haven't got around to it. I think it's this one. Yeah, so I could fix it. I just need to take it all apart, and taking off this bumper is a headache. So for now, it'll stay. Thanks for watching.